Digression after Journal 21. One thing I noticed when I was pretty young is that people have no imagination. I don't mean the kind of imagination you need to watch TV or read a book or go along with the story. I mean the kind of imagination you need to tolerate something different. To most people, if things don't fit their mental framework, there must be something wrong with the things. Everything that doesn't conform is strange or crazy or sick. Take most teachers. They just can't accept if you won't go along with the system. Oh, they have fancy words like behavioral problem. I've heard that one a million times. But in fact, that kind of language is a cover for their lack of imagination. I knew lots of kids during my 4 years in high school who were very independent. They made up their own minds about what they considered important and went their own ways. When their own way crossed the path of a teacher, got them at cross purposes with the system, everybody figured they were a problem student. Nobody accepted the kids' right to set their own values, so the teachers came down on them. And that only made them more rebellious. I always envied those kids, I guess because I decided years earlier to play the game. People like you to play the game even if you cheat. They almost expect that. What they don't like is someone who refuses to play. The cheaters accepted, the spoil sport is considered to have something wrong with him. The students are worse than the teachers. Anyone or anything is either in or out with them. If you're out, you're considered insane and fair game for all sorts of attack and abuse. Then, like a wolf pack, snarling and snapping at everything alien. For instance, we had this teacher at my school who was very kind and harmless, but very different. For one thing, he refused to drive a car to own one, called them landscape eaters. He rode an old beat up Raleigh to school. For another thing, he was a vegetarian. Every once in a while, one of the kids would get him going by asking him why he didn't eat meat or drink alcohol because he was very naive. This caused more viciousness from the kids than any other characteristic. You had to always be in the know. He'd stop whatever we were doing, irregular Latin verbs or something equally thrilling, and jam his hands into his jacket pockets and head off on a sermon about the wonderfulness of eating no meat. The guy, poor guy, really thought we were interested. Can you imagine what they thought of him? All those dynamos fueled with greasy hamburgers and barbecued steak who'd sell their souls for a slab of gooey pizza, a box of warm beer, or a tear around town on Friday night in the old man's Buick. They called him the Veg in honor of his eating habits and as a comment on his mind. They were certain a man like that must be crazy. Well, I ran into that crap at the hospital too. Somebody decided I must be off balance. I could just see Mr. Three-Piece yakking about hostility and repressed whatnot. I read some psychology last year. That's how I got set up with Dr. Brown. I guess when he found out I was a person with a mysterious past, he was overjoyed. And when he dropped by one afternoon in the middle of a checker game I was having with this old guy in my ward, he hummed every 3 seconds and raised his bushy little eyebrows every two. What a find I must have been, added to the pneumonia and mangled hand that were a strange attachment to a pipe and a vivid red scar on the right wrist. But I wasn't going to end up in some boring article in a psych magazine. Not on your life.